I'm Juliana Curcio.
And I'm Creatine Price.
And Creatine Price. Welcome to Mac Studios, and thank you so much
Thank you so
for
much.
sharing your journey of drag.
Thank you so much for having me here, darling.
Of course. And the first question is, how does it feel to just represent the entire drag community?
I can't represent the whole drag community, girl. I can, representing the girls that get up and sing a little 1-2. We don't really dance, but we do a little 1-2. You know what I'm saying?
Period. Okay, Creatine. We want to know, who is Creatine?
Creatine is the resident opera diva of New York City. She's just a magnanimous opera girl, I was always inspired by the sopranos and mezzos in my life, such as yourself. Creatine is an amalgamation of all those things, but also is an homage to Leontine Price, who is, of course, the most prolific Black soprano in history, right. My heart and soul.
I'm wondering, because even though, yes, you are Creatine Price, you are also Jordan Pitts.
Yes.
So I'm wondering what parts of Creatine are also Jordan.
There's so much. I feel like it's, a lot of drag queens might say this, but you sort of take your own personality and you amp it up 10 times, All of a sudden you have permission to say the things that are on your mind, not necessarily the bad things that are on your mind, but the things you think, or that sort of make up who you are, that people don't get to see all the time,
Right.
Like drag is that. It amplifies the thing that's underneath. And Jordan is that way kind of already. I mean, you know me. I'm pretty much that way already. So
But actually what I love is, because I come and see your shows.
Yeah.
But it's not just all this drag theatrical, like what we think about as drag, right? We think of like drag brunch. I mean, some people, right?
Right.
But you have these sensitive moments, these deep moments that I know is also Jordan as well.
Yeah, and that's my MO, really. I always try to bring the concert hall to the gay bar. I try to bring the sensitivity that comes with classical music and the way we perform it, the performance practice of romantic music or of just cabaret song, really bringing it to light in a way that I think also isn't that common in the United States. Not to toot my own horn, but, sometimes if you go and see a drag brunch, you're not going to get that level of emotionality or intensity from the performers that I try to bring. That doesn't mean that what I do is any more valid or any less valid. It's just a different approach.
I love I bring the concert hall to the gay bar. That's going to be the quote.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what we're going to call this interview.
That's my MO all the time.
Now, okay, so how did you first discover drag?
So I first discovered drag in college, my drag mother, the Countess Mascara,
right.
Was, someone I knew very well in college. And I saw her doing drag. She's been doing it a long time. And I love my drag mother. She's been doing it quite some time. And that was the first time I ever really encountered it. And I remember being like, oh my God. Like, there were other students around campus in Fredonia.
Right. Mm-hmm. Fred,
Student Fredonia, shout out,
yeah.
Student Fredonia. That, were doing drag, but they would have these really, it was like I got it all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like the numbers, I remember a friend of mine did a number to Khaleesi's milkshake and sprayed the audience with whipped cream. And I was like, oh my God, what the is that? That's so cool, to see drag in that way. I mean, this was the birth of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Right.
So things were quite different than just seeing drag on TV like I had, since the 90s. So that was really the first time I encountered it. But then I didn't really start doing drag until after I had moved to New York and I'd been here for a few years. I was a go-go dancer. Which is actually around the time you met me.
So, I do remember.
So I was in nightlife pretty heavily, and I ran into several queens that taught me what to do, and I started taking it really seriously.
So obviously this was always in the back of your mind, maybe, from Fred, from Fredonia, seeing these things. And then how did you form your drag persona? How did you form who you are right now?
It kind of just happened, like I said, I would see this type of drag that was so cool and hip and did a lot of stuff with popular music. And I just knew that wasn't something that I had the mind for. I mean, can I come up with ideas in that way? Sure. But I knew that I was going to have to combine who I was as Jordan, as an artist, with my drag pretty early on. Really, it solidified, to answer your question, it really solidified when I did my New York City Opera debut as a principal artist in Ian Bell's Stonewall, which happened during World Pride in 2019. I had a previous drag persona,
which
We can talk about it.
I don't know. We could talk about it.
We don't have to, But
when you know something, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And I mean,
listen,
you got your name out.
I'm living proof, bitch.
You were in a German magazine. You were in like music magazine.
I was in Opera magazine. Yeah. Like for this thing that happened. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. But listen, I was in fucking Opera magazine about this shit.
I know.
It's crazy. And I posted it proudly on my social media.
Oh, I read it. I was there for the comments too. I was there for the comments. How would you say that Creatine artistically influences Jordan and vice versa? How does Jordan influence Creatine?
Yeah, I think the easiest one to answer is that Jordan influences Creatine most of all because of my history in classical music, Okay. I dive deep all the time on so many different aspects of what we do as opera singers, and that's not just performance practice, that's language, that's the acting, that's the the total package of what you bring out onto a stage, whether you're playing a character or you're putting on a recital. That has always been something that has been so important to me and is like a visceral need of mine. It's like something deep down in me that just needs to be expressed, and opera and classical singing is the vehicle that I have really chosen to do that for myself. It has become this thing that is so much larger than I ever thought it was going to be. If I'm honest, I didn't expect her to come out of me. It was like a beautiful gift. It was like I kind of gave birth to this magnanimous diva that I have always felt I was deep down, but it's not something I ever felt comfortable expressing.
And do you feel like then Jordan was reborn a little bit?
Yeah, very much so, because it influenced my feeling of possibility. I thought to myself like, oh, I can actually do this. Like I can actually be an artist in the way that I want to be, in the way that I deem sort of fit for myself. And it's still developing. Like I'm still in those stages of like, how far can I go with this? Where does it end? Where does it start?
It's such a therapeutic thing, right? You have to know who Jordan was and who Jordan was artistically to then be able to influence what you want to do on stage as Creatine. Yeah. And like you said, I would see these drag shows, and while I loved what they were doing, I knew I wasn't that pop kind of thing, or maybe I could merge it together.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see your shows and you really do.
Well, thank you. I want to keep things accessible. That's a really important thing for me, is that like opera and musical theater, classical musical theater, or legit musical theater is not as accessible to audiences that come to drag shows just in general. So I do sort of try to keep it on the edge of like, okay, it has to be funny and campy, pretty much at a baseline level. Yeah. And then I stretch and I sort of figure out where people can go. Can it go more, serious for a moment here where we really dive into, I don't know, Ophelia. Right. Like I did the Ophelia leader on Halloween, and I was like, why am I doing this to my head? Like shit like that. Where I'm
it's sort of like the Cado Mio Ben arrangement. Like that was one of my favorite moments in all your shows.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like a blend of both worlds. Just try to keep that alive the whole time.
And it's so genuine. I don't feel like I'm watching somebody be somebody else. I'm watching somebody who is who they are. And they're giving such a genuine, honest performance.
Thank you. That means a lot to know. So as a friend of many years.
Are we gonna cry on this?
We might. I might get there. Bitch.
How do you structure a show? Like, where do you start? Is it a theme? Is it down to the costumes? Is it, okay, I want to sing this and structure it from there? Or is it different every time?
It's different every time, honestly. I think usually the inspiration is, oh, I have an idea for a number. How can I build this into a theme? Or like one or two numbers. Like for instance, like the day I decided to do like this number with Salome, Yeah. That came to me in the throes of like, okay, I need to do a Verismo show. Like I need to do something about Verismo, or something that's like, for Verismo, for people that don't know what it is big opera that deals with real emotion. So it'll start like that. I'll have an idea or an inspiration that comes up. I think to myself, like, how can I build this out, and then I start thinking about who I'm going to bring into the show, because I've had a few that have just been just me, and it's wonderful, it's great, but I always love incorporating the drag community and other artists, not even just drag queens, but like other artists into the show, sort of integrally.
And it gives you a break.
And it gives me a break, girl, because I can't be up there singing the whole time. Damn.
But how do you balance thinking about your technique and doing the drag and everything here. I mean, this is a whole process. How long does it take you to get ready?
It takes me like, okay, to do my makeup, I used to take forever, girl, but now I'm down to an hour and a half.
Oh my God.
I'm down to an hour and a half. I'm down to an hour and a half for the makeup. But everything else, like, you know, like putting on nails and like I wait to do my lashes and like the wigs, like all together, it takes me usually like around 3 hours to like really, really be ready, camera ready.
Right.
We're talking camera ready, like today, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, in general, like for an average show, 2 hours.
Do you do the lashes last?
I always do because like they kind of get tiring.
Right. And so everything, it's like a 4-hour process.
Sometimes, yeah, like well, getting to the gig, like also, you know, but then you think about all the time that goes into it ahead of that as well. Like I'm doing wigs throughout the week. Like I'm fucking, you know, sewing costumes throughout the week. Like there's many.
Seamstress too.
Wow. Seamstress too.
Wow, the talent.
Cute images of the things that I've made. This I did not make though.
Like, cute creatine sewing, you know?
Hollywood glamour. It's, you know, it's, I can't barely thread a needle. My right hand is so tired.
My fingers hurt.
My fingers hurt. What is that? That's Showgirls. And I'm solid about that because I watched it 2 nights ago.
You mean with Jessie Spano?
No, Gina Gershon.
Wow, there's a lot of Showgirl movies.
The original Daikon.
Is that
Wagon Wheel Watusi?
How are you balancing the technique with doing the theatricality of drag?
I wish I knew. It's so hard too because it's been a learning curve for me. Like the first few shows I put together, not even just at Red Eye, but the shows I had at High Lot or the Stonewall before that. Because I have a long history of missed opportunities with my own show until I really landed Red Eye, which Red Eye has been my home. Shout out Red Eye. Great location. They're the best. Like they have sex parties downstairs while the show is happening. Anyways, point is, I've had a hard time figuring out where, you know, to push on my technique or where to really focus on technique in certain moments. But the truth is, it always just comes together like magically when I get on stage. It kind of all goes out the window. Like at that point, it kind of doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like if I like, and I've had moments where I'm singing something and I'm like, that didn't go well. That's really hard to fucking sing, you know?
Right.
And I've practiced it. I've really rehearsed it. But at the same time, like when you get it in front of people, as you know, as an opera singer, sometimes it's wildly different singing it in front of people versus doing it on your own. But I try to just focus on like delivering the message of what I'm trying to do, you know, whether that's singing Butterfly or I'm singing cabaret songs or if I'm singing songs. It's the message is the most important.
Right.
Yeah.
We're communicating.
Yeah. But I always look glamorous.
Right.
That's like number one for me. I have to look glamorous.
Then when you switch back to Jordan, does it feel easier doing it as Jordan because you aren't doing the drag?
Absolutely. This is the one thing I always talk about is that doing this has made me such a better singer. Not just technically, but like emotionally, I'm so much more calm because you just have to do it. Like you when you get out there and there's all these variables that I've imposed on myself, honestly, like the wig and the costume and the lashes and all those things, and you get out there and you're like, okay, all of this work has to account for something, so you have to give it your best shot every single time. And it's turned me into the kind of singer where I just do it. Like I just get up and do it, and if it's not my best singing on a certain day, then I'm at this point in my life, I'm okay with it. Like it's so weird. Like I used to be so, I mean, you know, tenors.
No, tell us.
Tenors tend to be like, you know, like we're a little crazy, you know? And is that completely gone? No. But like I am such a better singer for having done this. And that's my journey. I don't know, like I'm not suggesting everybody get in drag and do this shit, but like my journey is that it's made me a better singer.
So tell us about your Francis Got Talent experience and how it changed you.
Francis Got Talent was a life-changing experience. Not only was it the hardest thing I've ever done, this as professionally and artistically, but it challenged me in ways I really didn't expect it to. You know, I learned a lot about being on camera, about being in a TV program. I learned a lot about myself as a singer and what I can and cannot tolerate. I learned a lot about respecting other artists especially on TV, but like just in general, like feeling a sense of community and camaraderie with people.
But I would love, like, give me one extremely hard thing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like any TV schedule, I think just showing up and being there on time and getting ready to do what you need to do for any artist is grueling and ridiculous. You know, you're there at like sometimes like 8:30 or 9 in the morning, and you know, like my audition, like the audition episode, like the very first episode, I showed up the night before. like they flew me in the night. They didn't know who the I was, and like they didn't not that it didn't care, but like in a way it's kind of like, okay, like it's your audition episode, like whatever happens.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be one of the artists flying in from the United States. So I flew in, I got there, I was supposed to have a taxi, it wasn't there. There's so many like extenuating circumstances, right? Like the taxi wasn't there, and it was at Rue Malmaison, which is all the way on the other side of Paris from the airport. So it took a solid 2 hours, and I landed at like 11. So I didn't get in.
And you're jet lagged. Oh my gosh.
Jet lagged. I didn't get into the hotel until like literally 3 in the morning. I had to wake up at 4:30. I got an hour and a half of sleep. I had to get up at 4:30 to start my makeup and make sure I was ready, because I had a call at 9:15. Granted, it was around the corner, but still, like, call is 9:15. You have to show up, do that, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And then how does your voice work?
Right. I'm like, I can never do this.
So I'm like popping ibuprofen. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Right.
But like, I'm popping ibuprofen because I'm like, the swelling has got to come down, like, some way. And then you go and do the audition episode, and you're literally sitting there all day. Like, it's just, the hardest thing is sitting around. Any drag queen will tell you, like, I'm sure the girls on RuPaul feel the same way, but you're sitting around all day in drag, and like, you've done your makeup, you're sweating, your fucking body hurts because of your corset.
Yeah.
And then you have to get up and sing. And like, that's the thing. It's like, I decided to get up and like actually sing Adriana Lecouvreur or whatever the stuff. I sang Vesila Juba on my semifinal performance, and it's impossible.
Were you nauseous?
I wasn't nauseous. I was dizzy a lot of the time. I was like, no, I wasn't nauseous.
I'm just thinking about myself. Like, no, I mean, I could never. When I have an overseas audition, I literally give myself 3 days.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, right? Mm-hmm. So I told them that finally, for the finals, mm-hmm. when I got to the finals, I was like, I need to be there well ahead of time. Right. Unfortunately, if you treat people nicely, people tend to give some grace. So there was one of the producers was like, hey, listen, like, I told to give you extra days in the hotel. So I got there like 5 days early, which was so nice. Granted, you're filming that whole time. I was filming my portrait. I had, 1 day off, and then I was filming another thing outside, and, and I'm in drag every single day that I'm there, and I'm practicing every single day that I'm there. Like, it's...
Would you do it again?
All those things considered, I would kind of do it again.
Wow,
but I would advocate for myself so much more, because I had really great ideas, and I feel like the show didn't always fully convey that, because they're always looking for a story, They're always looking for that, like, crack in your veneer to kind of, like, show you not in your best light or show you behind the scenes.
Right.
And...
they need the drama.
It's reality television. So, like, that was another learning curve I had, I was like, it's reality television. They're not going to want to see you polished and perfect all the time. And so I would let myself go a little bit more, and I would advocate for myself much more if I did it again.
On top of all of this, it's also in another language as well. And while your French is amazing, I mean, it's not your first language.
No, but it's also like, I spend most of my days speaking English. Like, I don't speak French like 24/7 all the time. Like, is my French next to perfect? Yes.
Sounding good to me.
But like, at the same time, I'm not spending my days speaking French. So that was also a curve of like, even the way, like, you use your voice differently when you speak a different language.
Oh,
so
totally.
Like, I was getting tired, vocally, and I was like, why? Because I was speaking in French.
Creatine. What sort of challenges have you faced as a gay queer artist, and how do you overcome them?
Gosh, I mean, the biggest one is that, it's a question of accessibility for someone like me. There's so many really great quotes, but I forget who it was, but they were like, I'm Black and I'm a drag queen, so everything I do is political, like everything about me is political. I forget, like, don't cancel me. I forget who said that. But the point is that is true. Like, I, not only like being in the public eye, having gone on TV, I've experienced firsthand what it's like to really get hate thrown at me, like, in a way that I think most normal people throughout their lives, even though they experience discrimination or they experience racism or bigotry in any kind of way, like, it's just amplified times 10 when you sort of like step onto the scene, and social media exacerbates that and makes it a huge problem. And you can only block so many people throughout the day until you're like, I'm just a human being, like, I'm just trying to do this thing. And I will say though that, like, my history as Jordan, not necessarily as Creatine, like, I've dealt with so much living in New York City over the years that I've developed a really thick skin. Deep down, I'm very sensitive, like, deep down, it does really affect me, but at the same time, like, I've experienced so many things. It's hard for me to know where to, like, dive in to that conversation, because it's an accessibility thing, like...
And you're experiencing it as Creatine and also as Jordan.
But in both worlds, and, almost twice over in drag. When you're in drag, people 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 have issues with drag.
Do you feel that you handle it differently as Creatine versus Jordan?
Yeah, I think Creatine, it's so much easier for me to like brush it off because it's not like fully me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like it's like there's a persona there, but it does trigger you. What's still sort of new to me and kind of will always be is like how people treat drag in the public eye, and that has been a very steep learning curve for me. Like I've tried to figure out like, okay, is it that people hate drag? Like there are people that love drag,
right.
but only in certain ways. Like you're either a Rue girl or kind of like nothing. There are these like cult classic drag queens like that haven't necessarily been on RuPaul, but like they have this like status, but usually they're like not someone like me. Like they're like it's hard to describe. Yeah,
it sort of reminds me of like even homosexuality in the public eye, where it's like, well, you can be gay but not that gay, you know?
Yeah, it's like you can do this but not like that.
Yeah,
and then, like, God forbid you touch opera. Oh my God, like touching opera as a drag queen, like, you know, there's other drag queens that sing opera, you know, obviously my colleagues and friends that sing opera in drag, but it's just a crazy thing to experience being in the public eye and singing opera and trying to sing really legitimately, not necessarily like faking it or creating like farce out of it or making it camp, just like genuinely trying to sing it well. And like you would think people would respond to it differently if that were the case. And sometimes they do, but overall the overarching response is sometimes just like negative.
Do you get those comments more if you're singing a soprano or let's just call it a female aria?
Yeah,
you know, traditional.
Yeah, traditionally women's arias. That sparks something in people. I get the comment all the time, like, but it's a woman's aria, and I'm like, duh, like I fucking know. I'm an expert here, like, you don't think I'm like, you don't think I know?
Is it? Yeah.
Like I'm like, wait, what? Like what? There's no men have recorded this. That's like crazy.
Do you ever feel that you want to change keys, or do you really try and stick to the key that's originally?
I always try to stick to the original key, but sometimes if something is just like crazy high or it's like really genuinely not for my voice type, I will change the key. But that's the thing that I deal with for myself, just because I have a particular voice type that is a little bit different already for the world of opera. I have a bit of a heavier tenor voice, and so a lot of like soprano arias like don't even fit in my voice, so sometimes it's easier to like change the key.
Do you have a favorite aria to sing as Creatine?
Yes, I do, and it's a Acerba Voluta.
Oh, okay.
It's not even a soprano aria.
Yeah,
it's a
I was
mezzo
gonna
aria.
say.
It's a mezzo aria. But Acerba Voluta is like musically, I think the way I was introduced to it, it just touched something in me that like made me like, I gotta fucking sing that. And I want to sing it with a huge orchestra. Like I want to sing it big, 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 big. So like now I do that. And like that's fucking cool. And I'm singing it with the BBC Concert Orchestra.
I know. We're gonna talk about your future in a second here. Okay, going back to the industry, what changes would you want to see in the industry to better support LGBTQ plus performers?
I think obviously equity is a huge conversation right now versus just equality. Like equity means that we're all really on even footing depending on where we come from. And as someone that I'm very in touch with the young artist community, as you know.
I do, mother.
Very, very in touch with the young artist community.
Yeah.
I run a group called Yak Tracker, Young Artist Community Tracker. If you're not on it, you should be.
If you let them in.
If I let them in. Wait.
It's run by Jordan, not by Creatine.
If
Jordan lets you in.
That has actually opened up a lot of things for me, just discovering like equity is a huge problem in our industry. People that don't come from money or come from a place where they have resources to really access all parts of this industry are really at a disadvantage. And very often, because of the intersectionality of what happens there, those artists are also Black, queer, people of color, trans. Like these people, like they very often arrive into the industry sort of like fitting their gender assigned at birth or fitting their whatever the vibe is that they've been given like throughout conservatory. And now what's interesting is like seeing Gen Z kids are so much more themselves, like so much more able to be themselves and are ready and willing to have those tough conversations about what needs to change in the industry, and also like openly discuss who is committing the atrocities in the industry.
Right.
So I think overall, my wish is that we continue down the path of visibility and also maintain a level of professionalism that includes all of us, that includes people that come from a different background and gives them the same opportunity that people that come from places with many more resources do.
You want to know what I want to see?
Juliana, what do you want to see change for LGBTQ
okay.
in the industry?
We need to change, and I know there's so many purists out there with the classics and opera, but like there are so many good operas that could gender bend, that we could, like Barbara of Seville. He's a barber.
Yeah.
What are we doing, people? You could dress him in drag. You could do so many things. Why aren't we doing that? That whole show could be gender bent. You could change everybody.
I want to see that.
You know?
Personally. There's always going to be a time and place for like the traditional operatic production, right? Like that's never going to really, really go out of style as long as the art form continues to live on, right?
Right.
So it already has its own space. So what are we doing? A million Bohèmes and a million Aidas and a million Carmens the same exact way all the time. Like I get that those sell tickets, but there are so many other ways to make them interesting. It doesn't even have to be gender bending. Like it could just literally be as subtle as like changing the relationship dynamic between two characters and like not necessarily rewriting the text but viewing the text in a different way, like looking at things from just a different perspective is so much more refreshing for the art form. You know what I mean?
What is some advice you would give to younger queer artists coming up in this industry?
Gosh, I would say you have to find your voice, like literally and figuratively. Like you have to find how your voice works. Number one, like that's the most important thing, is to find how your voice works and move towards people that really genuinely like coach you in an authentic way. They care about who you are, and those people take time to find. Very often, in my experience, it took me forever to find those people. There were people along the way that really helped me to kind of figure out who I was, of course. But in general, like finding a coach or a voice teacher that really genuinely believes in who you are is like a game changer. Because already in our everyday lives, we're not necessarily encountering love and acceptance all the time. Right. You know, maybe we have a supportive family, or maybe we don't. Out in the real world, we don't necessarily come across positivity for who we are. Yeah. And so it's really important to like quickly marry a positive influence with your singing. Like otherwise, you're going to be face to face with things that constantly challenge who you are and the rejection of the industry, which, you know, like is inevitable. Sometimes it's just easier to like have a cushion to deal with those things. And then also when you do come into your own as an artist, really standing in your truth, you know, and saying like, okay, like this is who I am, you know, you're just better off for it, you know, like it's instead of trying to fake something or fit into the standard of the industry, like really decide this is who I am. This is the kind of artist I want to be. And for the time being, this is what's working, you know, and
find your team,
know who you are,
and stand in it.
And it can really help a lot for you to feel ready.
I'm wondering, you know, I've known you personally, and I know you've done so much self-work, self-acceptance, self-love. You've done so much work on yourself. What does it feel like to be celebrated in this way now?
It feels so good, Juliana. It does. It feels so fucking good. Like I can't even lie. Like I have been through it, you know? I've been through it. Obviously, like in classical singing, it's a tough industry to begin with. I really was struggling for a long time, both with my voice and just professionally, like getting in touch with people that could do anything for me or bring me closer to my dreams. But at the same time, like I've been through so much personally and professionally that when this happened, I was like, Jesus Christ, like fucking finally, you know, like something, even though, you know, it's not an arrival point, it's like I finally feel like I'm planted in the ground in some way, you know? And I'm like watering myself regularly.
Oh, I love
it. I feel like I'm like in the motion of like creating my best self.
And this is a great question. What does the future hold then for Creatine?
Creatine is international, darling. She's all over the world, darling. She's here and she's there and she's nowhere, darling. She's all over the world. Bien sûr, darling. Bien sûr. Gosh, well, what I have coming up is a beautiful tour of different productions. I'm doing the Grange Festival with the BBC Concert Orchestra. We have 3 performances, June 5th, 8th, 19th.
Wow.
London at the Grange. And then I'm in Le Mans in France in July, Paris and Le Mans. I'm giving a recital at Night of Opera and drag at a festival there. And then I'm in Toronto.
Wow. You're so international.
Toronto Pride with Zach James. And then the biggest thing that's coming up for me is I'm making my debut with the Royal Liège Wallonie Opera in Belgium in December in Fledermaus. And that's what she wrote.
That's huge.
That's all she wrote.
Amazing. Creatine. Okay, one last question. What do you want people to know about the drag community?
I want everybody to know that we are all the same underneath all of it. Under the makeup, under the persona, we're trying to exemplify what is human, first and foremost. it's a celebration and a personification of things that make us human. You know, the humor, the sass, the fun, the sadness, the ballad, the Cher, the Mariah, the Britney, all of that is what makes us human. And it's a beautiful thing to encounter, not just in drag, but in the queer community in general. We need to find safe spaces, and everybody should really go out and support your local drag artists, drag artists, not just RuPaul girls, but local drag artists, people that get up there and really put their lives on the line on that stage and need the money to take the Uber home, because we're not getting on the subway, bitch. Not in this city late at night.
So give,
and bring tips and bring money.
And as RuPaul says, we're all on drag. We're all born
RuPaul
naked.
says, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody
Exactly.
else? Can I get an amen?
I'm everything and nothing at all. Creatine, thank you so much.
Thank you, Juliana.
Coming to Mac Studios.
Wait,
lending
guys,
your time.
Mac Studios is a gift.
Oh, stop.
It's a gift to the community. No, it really is. And what you guys have built here is absolutely stunning. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for building this and having a place where people can come and get fantastic recordings at a decent price.
Right. Very affordable.
Very affordable price. Here in the heart of Manhattan.
Well,
not the heart. Not the heart, but still in Manhattan.
Yeah.
But in the heart of Harlem. And also, it's a great area because a lot of, well, if you're going to sublet in New York, a lot of that is around here. So, girl, if you go get your ass up in here and do your recordings, while you're in that sublet, while you're here auditioning, recordings.
You can walk.
You can walk.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye, Mac Studios. Love you.
Bye, Creatine Price. Thank you.
The silver spoon can catch the potato. I wish her in the car. Call me in the car. 44444.